Alright, we're back. 66th video for SUMARI Dark Arts. That's right. Here. Coming back to back. 2 videos in a row. What the hell is going on? Is it the end of the world? Has hell frozen over? Has there been peace in the Middle East? Has Wile E. Coyote finally caught the Roadrunner? Has the teacher on Snoopy and the Peanuts crew finally shown her face? Who knows? But in this video, we're going to get into something a little bit. Well, I don't know. Take it how you want it. But at least from my point of view, religion, I think the days of religion are pretty much dead. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh my God, how can you say that? Woo, child, the Lord Jesus Christ going to strike you down, boy. Hey, if anyone that's saying that's racist is not, because that's how my family talk. At least my grandmother anyway. Anyway. Yeah, man, I think the days of religion have come to an end, because it's like a lot of people talk about they want to see the day when everyone lays down their differences, and, you know, Hebrews and Muslims and all the Catholics and everyone unite. It will never happen. It won't happen. It will never end, because all these different beliefs, religious beliefs, all have one similarity. They all think that their way is the only way, you know, and it's like, if each religious system believes that the only way to salvation is through them and through this system of belief, how can they ever lay down their differences? It just won't happen. They're not designed to. But the reason I say that religion is dead is because now, you know, we all know that religion does have some benefits. I mean, it does keep a lot of people in check because they have guilt complexes and they want to believe that, you know, if they do something wrong, that they'll be punished for eternity and all this kind of, you know, line of thought. But it's like, the only way we're ever going to solve any of these problems is through an identification with your private connection to the Creator. All these stories, or all these books, or going to church, going to the mosque, you know, going to all these places, I mean, none of it enforces yourself and your beliefs. It's all about pretty much you taking on the beliefs that you grew up with, that somebody else has put on you. But it never really, it doesn't it doesn't value the individual, is what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't handle modern day problems and issues. And when I say modern day, I'm not necessarily talking about, oh, you know, now we have computers, you know, and the 12 apostles didn't, you know, stuff like that. I'm talking about things that people deal with that, okay, for example, someone goes, oh, I'm having these shadow beings attack me at night, and they come into my room, and there's always 3 of them, which this is a common theme. I'm not directly attacking anybody. This is stories all over the place, all over the world. But it's like, who are you gonna talk to about that? I mean, for real. And we know these things are real, but who are you gonna talk to about that? I mean, you know, all these religious beliefs, they'll give you something. Oh yeah, it's the jinn, you know, from, you know, Middle Eastern beliefs. The jinn are coming after you. If it's a more Western belief, or it's the demons, or, you know, they're gonna give you all these things to make you afraid. And these are like outdated belief systems, but they can't deal with these problems. They just can't deal with them. They're not equipped to deal with them. The Bible is basically dealing with an era that has long passed us, an era that is still happening now. And if you watch the last video, I went into, you know, which I always talk about, all times are simultaneous, but the Bible is dealing with a timeline that we are not in. You know, I mean, we're just not in that timeline. I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm not saying, oh, it's all complete nonsense, it's all bullshit, but it's not in our timeline. Where in the Bible are they talking about shadow people? And I know people say, oh, well, Corinthians, verse 6, and thou sawest, you know, all this shit, man. You know, and it's like, all right, fair enough. Maybe you can find some type of correlation or connection, but if that's the case, I mean, you could just make anything up and say, well, this is connecting to shadow people, this is connecting to this is connecting to that. What about lucid dreaming? Where in the Bible does it go into lucid dreaming? Where in the Bible does it go into astral projection? Now, you know, I'm no specialist on the Bible, but And I'm sure somebody can try to validate and justify, oh, look at this here, this talks about this, this, and that, but it really doesn't. I mean, let's keep it real, man. I mean, not what we're experiencing. And you have to realize that we're all growing, man. Everybody's growing at such a fast rate and a fast pace. And we forget that. We forget that. And we keep looking at, why do we keep looking to the past? We keep looking at these individuals who, in their timeline, yes, they made some amazing achievements, they've broke ground, but where we're at, we're dealing with something completely different. Number one, we're in a different official line of consciousness. We're dealing with different issues, and we have different, how do I say, we have different motivations, and then we also have different, damn it, my mind just went blank for a minute. Influence is what I'm trying to find. We have different influences coming at us. So our belief systems are going to be colored by the modern beliefs of the day, you know. And the mind, I mean, what is the mind really? The mind is just like an interpretation of reality. You know, I mean, anyone's mind is just that. It's just their interpretation of reality. You can say, well, this mind, you know, my mind and the mind of a tiger has two completely different realities. I don't have to go to the fucking jungle for that. I mean, SUMARI that's sitting over here, you know, my beloved partner in crime / royal python snake. She has her own consciousness and her own mind. You know, for her mind is she's chilling in a fucking cereal box, you know, just to keep her warm. And she has a heater. She got her bowl of water, and she's living it up. And that's heaven for her. You know, don't have to worry about any predators, no outside predators trying to eat her, try to come at her. She could live a much longer lifespan. That's her mind. She has nothing to know about internet or none of this stuff. The same way the 12 apostles had no idea about nuclear weapons and all this other stuff. So why are we looking to ancient, outdated religions to give us the answers for our problems? And it's not even about these are modern day problems. These are just different problems in a different line of consciousness in a different reality. And I think the only solution to this is by individuals laying down these holy scriptures, laying down the books, and finding their connection within with all that is. And finding your individual connection to God, or whatever you want to call it. You can still call these names. You want to call it God, God. Who's God? God, whoever. That's another name. God, Allah, you know, Jehovah, whatever you want to call it. You can use those titles, but what about your connection? What connection have you made? I mean, you go into the temple, you go into church, and having a middleman tell you, well, this is what you have to do, my son. Say 12 Hail Marys and 6 Our Fathers and you'll be all right. I mean, that's dead. I mean, it really has no connection to anything. It's just somebody telling you something, you know? So what I'm advocating and what I'm putting forward is that, why don't you try this? And this is for anybody out there who still has these strict religious beliefs. Why don't you try for, I don't know, because I don't like giving timelines for stuff, because everybody's different. But just try for a period of time. It could be one day. I mean, if you're super crazy about your religion, try it for a day. Go for a week. Try a month to enforce your connection with creation. Enforce your connection with the power of God, or whatever name you want to call it, this infinite force of creativity, which is really us in corporeal form. But it's like, you have to enforce this yourself. The holy books, the holy texts and the holy books are simply talking about us. You know, when Christ spoke about the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, he was simply speaking in terms of the times, and the terms that people could understand at that time. He couldn't go into, you know, consciousness and infinite realities, because the people wouldn't have heard him. So, you know, him talking about the Father, the Son is about the connection between the inner self and the physical self, and us in physical reality. And the journey of the gods ascending from Olympus and coming down from the heavens is about the journey of us as non-physical beings journeying into physical reality. So all these stories are basically about us. And when you get into stories about the fallen angels, the Nephilim, the Watchers, and all these things, number one, a lot of these beliefs, like, where do they come from? You know, and it's like, when you do like deep research into some of these holy texts, a lot of our ideas and our concept of this shit is not even coming from those texts. And those texts are very vague, and you know, they might mention a word here or there, and then we basically color in all the rest. So it's like, why not color in a better picture? Why not make a better picture? Why not make a better reality? And the only way to do that is to leave behind all of these childish beliefs. And so, well, how could you say it's childish? God, my God is not childish. Well, that attitude right there is what I'm talking about. That's the shit that I'm talking about. It's like, let's be serious. Do you really believe? I mean, what sounds more plausible? That if you have two people lined up, right? You put me on a table and you have another person on the table, or a group, and we're all talking about theology and religions and beliefs and stuff. And I say, well, I remember my connection with all that is. I remember my connection to the source. It came to me later in life, and it suddenly just dawned on me. And in one moment, through a series of amazing experiences and traveling through dream states and out-of-body states from a very young age, I simply just remember where I came from, and where we all come from, basically, and what the storyline, at least for me, is, but there are many others with the same thing. And that all that is simply just this infinite force that cannot manifest itself into any one reality, so it has to disperse itself throughout all realities simultaneously at the same time. And you have a few individuals that remember this, and they may not remember it right away. They might remember it down the line, because, you know, later on into their 20s, their 30s, because they have to assimilate into the reality they're in, if it's like a physical one, like we're in. And once we get to a certain point, suddenly we have trigger points to help us remember where we come from. And then we move on to help other people if we choose to, and help them remind them of that. Well, that sounds like an angel, you know. And I see a lot of people make videos and they call themselves angels and archangels and all this stuff. But really, what is an angel? I mean, the general idea of an angel is a messenger of God. It's like a middleman. And because God cannot communicate with us, because of its, you know, the way of its makeup, of all its powers. So it has to have these other individuals that it manifests itself into physical form, into these other forms, and it creates this way. I mean, and this is my understanding of it. And on the other end of the table, so I got lost for a minute. The other end of the table, you have a God saying, no, see, my God is a just God, and he's a jealous God, and he doesn't like gays, and if you're gay, you're evil, and if you don't shake your, you know, if you don't sit on the right side of the table and use a fork with the left hand, you're going to burn in hell for eternity, and by the way, he hates Muslims, and which God sounds more of a reality, you know? And it's like, you just gotta laugh when you hear some of this shit, man. And it's all religions. They all have some, like, bullshit that's lined up. You know, at the end of the day, it's like, when you look at the Bible, like, one verse, like, the King James Version. Why would you listen? I'm gonna take a moment here. Why would you listen to any version that's supposed to be of God's work, that has the name, the King James Version, stamped on the book? This is supposed to be the Word of God, but yet it's the Word of God, the King James Version. Well, what does that fucking tell you? It tells you that this king basically remade it in his image and what he wanted the people to hear. So, you know, you have to go into the religion of the self. And a lot of people say, oh, that's too egotistical, that's too... Well, let's get into that a minute, right? I hear all this talk, all this shit on the internet about, you gotta kill the ego. You gotta kill the ego. Why would you want to kill something that's a part of you? The ego is necessary. You need the ego because we're in a physical reality. If we didn't have the ego, right, it's like we would do a lot of things that we would have no sense of self as a physical being. So if you had no ego, you say, well, fuck, man, I want to go for a fly. And you just jump off the balcony, but you drop to your death. You plummet and you would be dead, because that ego would tell you, no, don't do that. You know, wait a minute. You can't jump off the balcony. Remember, we're physical. We can't fly. And like, That's why that logical side that we have with the ego is necessary. And that's not saying the ego must be only logical, you know. The ego and intuition are supposed to be connected, united as one force. And then you use your intellect and your intuition as one, and it makes you a more powerful being. You know, so the ego is necessary. I hear all this talk in all these books talking about you must kill the ego. You know, that's very typical of like ignorant beliefs in a physical reality. We have to kill something. We have to get rid of something. Fight, kill. We gotta kill the ego. You know, and it's unnecessary. You don't have to kill anything. You teach the ego. You know, when you go to bed at night, the ego stays behind, you know, and you take this other deeper part of yourself that's more powerful, more knowledgeable. And this is why when you enter these other realities, you kind of forget sometimes that, you know, it's not about I'm unconscious in these dream states. I'm unconscious in these meditations or trance states. I don't remember anything. You know, the whole point of not becoming conscious, like when you become conscious, how do you become conscious in the dream state? You become conscious because you recognize and remember that you have this other reality. You're in this reality here, and it's non-physical reality, and then you also have this physical reality. And that's when you get the sense of duality and go, oh shit, this is amazing, man. I'm in this place now, but that's right, I have a physical body. So you're not unconscious. What happens is when you cross over to these other realms, you're so fucking excited and there's so much action going on that you just forget about physical reality. You know, you just back burner, ego, yeah, all right. You stay home with the kids and I'm going out to party and shit. You know what I'm trying to say though, but that's how it is, man. You know, we leave the ego back, but you can bring it with you, you know. And when you become conscious in the dream state or other realms of reality, non-physical, and you remember your reality here, the ego comes along for the ride, man. He's like your wingman. And then you school him, or it, or her, or she, or whatever you want to call it. And you're like, oh, see, look, told you, man. There's other shit going on. Yeah, I know we're boys back on the other side, or we girls on the side. But yo, over here, there's some other stuff going on. The ego's like, wow, you know, I didn't know we could fly, really? And then when you come back, the ego goes, that was interesting. Perhaps I can assist you in this reality. And then I could also, maybe I could pick up on other things, signals and non-physical signs and non-physical energies around me. And it starts to think. You know, that's just a simplified version. But yeah, man, religion needs to come to an end. It should be all about the religion of the self. And even the whole idea of religion, like the concept of religion, we don't need any of these names anymore. The names have to go. Forget about the titles of religion. Forget about all the names. Forget about what type of meditation I have to be doing. Forget about all of that and start focusing on just your connection with all that is. Your connection with God, your connection with the Creator. You know, you don't have to go sit in a fucking church or in a mosque to be connected with God. I mean, that's just a building. Let's be serious, you know. You don't need all that. And you got to think, you know, you just think about, you know, at a time when there was no concept of time, at least in this reality, like what were people doing? There were no churches then, there were no mosques or temples then, so what were these people doing? They didn't need any of that. They understood what they were and they had a deep connection with creation. So, you know, I went into this in the videos in the past, but I'll just reiterate, you know, it's like, look, there's no greater, I mean, you could have all the holy texts in the world, you could have the Vatican official library, you could have everything you want, book-wise, text-wise, holy scriptures. None of that is even, you can't compare any of that to one powerful lucid dream experience. You can't. It doesn't compare. That is when you see God face to face with like true creation. And you know, it's like it's more powerful than all these scriptures. I mean, all that stuff, you're just reading stories. That's all you're reading is stories. God said this, Jehovah said this, Abraham said that, you know, Muhammad said this. But you're just reading stories. And these other adventures that you have by yourself, you know, you have them and it's yours. I mean, why would you discredit and discount your actual experience in a non-physical reality where you were conscious, and you would say, no, forget about that, that wasn't real, but this story here in this book has more validity, a story that you weren't even a part of. You don't even know who wrote the story. It could have been King James. It could have been fucking, Inspector Gadget. It could have been anybody. You don't know who wrote it. And you just run with it. So get back in contact with yourself. I've said this before. If I haven't, I'll just say it again. If you really want to understand, nobody knows what's going on. Like if anybody's coming to you talking about, no, we got the Big Bang, we got Darwinism and evolution and all this stuff. If you focus more on the process of dreams, and I'm not just talking about. See, this is where when I said in the last video, we got to start going deeper. We can't just keep talking about, lucid dreaming, like I said, checking your hands, and I manifested a girl and we had sex all night. I mean, all that's nice, and I still like all that stuff too, but you have to go deeper. You have to start questioning, okay, so this Big Bang theory that they're giving, which is a theory, and that's what all these things, theory, we keep quoting people that were just individuals like you and me. My theory of relativity is no better or no worse than Einstein's theory of relativity. And people say, well, he was a scientist. Okay, but he was still an individual. And many of the greatest discoveries come from people who are not even in official fields like that. So it's like, I'm not trying to knock these people, but I'm just saying, we take theory for fact. We say, well, according to Einstein's theory of relativity, energy can never be all right, I mean, that's good, but it's like, it was just a theory, and it was just one person's opinion on something. Just like the Big Bang theory. We take this and go, well, see, the universe was created, and then we start quoting shit like, this is how it really was. I'm saying, what is your theory of creation? What is your Big Bang theory? How do you think the universe came into being? For me, from just studying my own subjective dream states and how 1 minute I'm on my bed and the next is a full-blown reality going on and I'm in it and conscious, and these things manifest suddenly from nothing, that's given me my own insight into how physical reality came into being. Everything's coming into being from a nothing physical-wise or made of matter is just here. It all comes from an inner reality of something, and then it manifests itself, right? So for me, the understanding of the universe is very similar to how dreams come into play. At some point, we were non-physical, and through a force of energy, we start to manifest ourselves into this physical reality. I know a lot of people say, well, I can't believe that. Where's the science to back it up? Well, where's the fucking science to back up anything? I mean, come on. I mean, how long are we going to play this game, right? And I've said this before in the past. You get these people, and they're like, oh, well, science. I'm a scientist. I only go with the facts. The facts. All right, fine. Here's a fucking fact for you. Do you love your children? Well, of course I love my children. Prove it. Oh, well, I took my son to baseball, and, and my daughter married, and I bought her, Where's the proof? I mean, that's just physical action. If you want to play the scientific role, that isn't proof. That's not proof of love. That's just a physical action. I could buy your daughter, what the fuck was that name? I don't know, Emmy. I could buy your daughter, Emily, a dollhouse. That doesn't mean I fucking love the bitch. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? I gotta keep this stuff fun, man, because religion has become too dull, and you gotta pray, and it's all serious. But we gotta keep it light, man. Do you really think God is sitting around, number one, it's God itself is not sitting around. We're sitting around, so we're that manifestation of God. So literally, yeah, we are sitting around because we're God. But at the same time, it's like there is no force just watching all of us and, dictating our moves and telling us what to do and judging us and stuff. Do you really think this all-powerful entity gives a fuck about, who's gay or who's not? Who's not sitting, who's not bowing at this church or this telling? It doesn't care. It really doesn't care. And that's the thing many people don't realize is that, and it's a hard thing to accept if you've been following theological beliefs for a long time, God, this is going to sound like a contradiction. All that is cares about you, and at the same time, it doesn't give a shit about you. And what I mean by that is like, all that is cares about you because all of us are all that is. We are God. I am God. You're God. We're all God. But at the same time, this powerful force that is not manifested in this reality, that's outside this reality, it doesn't give two shits whether or not who sucks a dick or who's not, or who's a lesbian or who's not, or who's a Muslim or who's not. It doesn't care. It just doesn't care. All that is just another experience, another blowing, dust in the wind. That's it. All the stuff we call history. This is the history. These are the facts. History is nothing more than a dim memory in some future present moment point that's taking place right now at this moment. This moment we're in, 2015, what is this? 2015, Wednesday, December 9th here in Japan. This memory is already dead. This is already an ancient memory 3,000 years in the future, which is a future moment point that's happening at the same moment as I'm saying this. And all of us are already dead. You're already dead. And I was gonna make a video about it, but I'm just gonna touch on it briefly here. You're already dead. And that's what you have to realize. The true way to gain power is to understand that you're going to die. It's going to happen. All this shit you're building up, my company, my empire, my business, my 401k, all that stuff. I mean, it's nice at some levels, but it's all going to be gone. You're going to die. And then you're not going to die because you're fucking immortal. So it's like, what I mean is your physical reality will come to an end. It's a given. It's going to happen. Stop looking at immortality pills and all this shit. It's going to happen. It's the way it's designed. You have to leave physical reality to advance and become something more. But it's like, at the same time, you're already dead. And it's like the idea of knowing that you're going to die and that you're already dead in some other reality. It's like, you're as dead now as you're ever going to be. And what I mean by that is like, you keep thinking about this death that's going to come, this physical death. And I'm not saying don't mourn people that die. We're all sad. When my parents pass away at some point, I'm going to be very devastated. It's because of the connection. But what I'm saying is like, you're as dead now as you're ever going to be, Meaning, when you die, you don't really die. You're just going to be in another reality. And everything you learn from, up to that point is going to carry on to the next reality. So your understanding of all this stuff I've been talking about in the past 66 videos, I'm just one individual coming through in a time, official line of conscience, just like others have come before me. And some of us have been called angels, some of us have been called demons. Me, I'm just a guy on the internet, but it's all the same shit. It's always going to be individuals that come give you this information, this knowledge. This is what I have learned. This is what I've discovered. We are not human. We are actually a part of this infinite force that has been called God or Allah or whatever. But it's actually us. And we're manifesting through its experience, And it's like we are it, but at the same time, we have also been giving a character, a personality. So it's like, you won't die, man. You're fucking immortal. So I'm gonna leave on that note because I gotta get out of here. But hey, I promise you guys, I said I'm gonna get more frequent with the videos, right? That's 2 videos back to back, man. Merry Christmas. No, I'm gonna come back before Christmas. But yeah, that's it for now. Let me get out of here. Just meditate on what I've been saying. Fuck religion. Religion is time to go. At least try it out for a while, see how it fits, just put it down for a minute. Start focusing inward. And what do you think about, what is your theory of relativity? What is your Big Bang theory? What is your idea of creation? What have you discovered? Forget about these fucking textbooks. It's just theories, and stories. You are a myth. We keep looking at these myths. Myths of the gods, myths of this, myths of that. You're a myth. You're a walking myth. You're a living myth right now. You are a myth of yourself. Immortalize yourself. Mythologicalize. I gotta get the fuck out of here. But make your own myth. You know what I'm saying? Mythologicalize and I can't get the word right now because my brain is racing. I gotta take a shower and stuff. But yeah, you're a walking myth. Make your own story. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, gotta get out of here. Love you guys. SUMARI to everybody out there.